My name is Brian Hebert. I am an artist, curator, educator here at Arts Clayton. I am the interim executive director and chief curator. And this is what I do. I'm an artist. I've been doing art since I was a child, and went to Southern University, majoring in art, and been doing it ever since.
A little bit about your story, about kind of how did you come up?
Like we talked yesterday, man, meeting Pastor T. Thank you so much for that conversation yesterday. I'm from Los Angeles, California, born and raised, Compton, Inglewood, South Central product, born in Dominguez Valley Hospital, which is no longer there. That's in Compton.
Oh, wow.
And grew up in South Central, 75th and Hoover, Figueroa, in that area when I was a kid. I came out in 92, so I was grew up in the 80s, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, so gang culture was strong, there now.
Right.
But at the time, we was coming up in a time when it was probably at its hottest, navigating through those streets, living, and then also navigating away from it,
Right.
So through that, I was always an artist, always pushed art, always loved doing art, never really got too much push and support because it just wasn't the thing. Everybody's surviving, So from that perspective, when I got to like high school, I would Miss Sykes' class and my high school art teacher, I would do stuff in banners for basketball games and stuff like that, and it just gave me a reason to get down. When I say get down, create art.
Okay.
And so when it came to going to college, really I wasn't really scholarly. I wasn't in the school like that. I did what I needed to do to get by. So I applied to Tuskegee and I applied to Southern University. Tuskegee rejected me, then they accepted me. Southern said, come on in, went in through they had a program back in the day. It was like, I forgot what it was called, but it got you in. So,
Got you in,
yeah,
right.
so I got in and they had an art program. And that's all I needed, man. Because I ended up going to Southern University and they had the dopest art program could have ever got into at the time.
Yeah.
Of course, I met my wife at Southern University, Elena A. Bear, rest in peace, beautiful queen. She, me and her got together. We were both from California. She's from Pasadena. I'm from LA, Inglewood. And we smashed back to the house after graduation. I graduated first. Then I went back and got her when she graduated, like a semester after. We started living, had our kids, got married, bam, and our plan was to come to Atlanta. We get to Atlanta. She's working for Disney and working for Turner here.
Okay.
I get on with the Southwest Arts Center, Fulton County Department of Arts and Culture. We get here by house. My wife gets diagnosed with breast cancer, surely like after before, and within a little after a year, she passes breast cancer in 2002. So that was devastating. My daughter was 3 at the time. My son was 1 at the time. I was doing the whole 9, combing hair, taught them both how to read, potty trained, cook their food. We don't have no regular diet, so we fruits and vegetables on the regular, making sure they have fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. You know what I mean? We can do it. I've done it. It was rough. It wasn't no easy thing, but again, God had a plan.
Man, I just admire that.
Yeah.
I admire that. It had to be is that probably the most difficult time of your whole entire life? It had to
Yes.
be.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. She knew that. My lady was not worried about my kids, and on her deathbed,
Yeah.
she told my mom, and on the low, just told my mom. She said, "Hey,
Right.
I'm worried about him," and that broke my heart just to
Yeah.
know that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough, but we got through it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
man.
Yeah.
She pretty much knew it was about coming to the end.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
I
was
got you.
rough. Even just the realization.
Yeah.
Like I saw it. We were sitting on our back deck one day, and we were sitting outside, and she was just looking out. And right there at that moment, I could tell that she knew she was gonna die. And I was like, I could read it, but it was like,
Yeah.
that was devastating too. It was like,
Yeah.
damn. But we never talked about her dying.
Yeah, I never talked about it.
We talked about everything, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
never talked about that.
Yeah, man.
Real talk.
Yeah. Tell me
Well,
a story about how you had to break it to your daughter.
Yeah, man. I think one of the hardest things I ever had to do, really, the whole thing was it was hard on top of hard on top of hard, was telling my daughter, my son was 1, so he was asleep. He really wasn't in full understanding. And so she's like, I'm coming from the hospital, it's super late, and she's like, she waiting for me, like, Daddy, what's up? And I'm like, baby, I had to tell her mom wasn't coming home. Her mom, that was it.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that was the most depth. That was the hardest
Yeah.
thing
Right.
ever to
Yeah.
tell her that and comfort her at that time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even, man. I could even if for years I couldn't even think about that. Straight up.
Yeah, without breaking down.
Yep. For
Yeah.
years.
How did they respond kind of coming up? Like, did they ever kind of get a normal? How did they adjust? How did that affect them for the good or the bad?
For the good, actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
they was solid, man. I believe their mom was always with us. You know, I always make sure they knew they were loved.
Right.
Always. You know, make sure they had what they needed.
Right.
They wasn't, you know, dirty clothes, none of that. Food. I make sure they had everything they needed. Again, me and my wife did a lot of videotaping of our lives. So I would always refer back to video footage, like, hey, you know, and they see themselves, and at the time they were still young, so they would see themselves and then see mom, and it would just be like, they would get happy, and you know, and it's something we did for some years, and eventually that played out. Because it was just like, you know, they had more time away from her without her than they had with her.
I got you.
You know, kept them on track, you know, kept the discipline consistent, you know, so they didn't give me no problems, you know, just because of our loss. I didn't let that create a crutch.
Wow, man.
You understand? Like I go off,
It's powerful, man.
because their mom passed, I'm gonna let them get away with murder. They, you know, your kids are so disrespectful. It's like, no, my kids have always been respectful. My kids always, because that started at home, the foundation.
That's right.
So we didn't have no problems. We didn't have no issues.
Well, Brother Brian, do you mind if I transition to those 4 spiritual questions yesterday?
Yeah.
Based on your worldview, I want to give you an illustration first.
Okay.
So here's a scenario. A blind man gets on the bus, and this blind man is looking for a seat on the bus.
Okay.
Well, this man gets up and gives his seat to this blind man. Probably conclude that the man that gave up his seat to this blind man was a really good man, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I didn't give you the whole story.
Right. Okay.
I'll finish the story. The man that gave up his seat to the blind man was the bus driver.
And killed everybody. Yeah.
There you go.
Glue. Like, dude, what are you doing? I was being nice to the blind man. Like, dude, come on.
You put everybody's life in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I give you that scenario is, well, the reason why you can draw a better conclusion of the story is because I gave you more information.
Right.
With limited information, you draw a limited conclusion.
Right.
Well, I want to kind of give you more of the story based on a biblical perspective, and even if you don't necessarily agree or think it's right, just see if it just makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so I'll start off by asking you those 4 questions, and then I'll put it alongside of what the Bible says about those 4 questions.
Okay.
So first question, Brother Brian, how do you think the world came into existence? What do you think? How do you think we got here?
Man, it's, you know, it's like say Genesis, man. God created.
Okay.
It's like breathing life into existence.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's more of a simple answer.
Yeah.
You know, but like
Yeah.
they say it, God created.
That's right. That's right. And I'm right there with you. The next question is, God created you. What do you think you exist for? What's your purpose?
My purpose is art, man. This is the art. I know Bob Marley, his thing was taking music to the 4 corners of the world,
Right.
of the globe. My
Right.
thing is taking for art to the 4 corners. I believe I was here. You know, I don't have all the answers. but
Gotcha.
I know
Gotcha.
that it has something to do with this art, or just positive energy, positive.
Sure.
You know, with the art, not just making some old crazy art and inciting people to live crazy and all
Okay.
that, but to really
Meaningful.
meaningful work.
The next question, why do you think, or just your own perspective, so why do you think the world is so broken and messed up? It's everywhere around you, you see you feel it inside, you see it on the outside, you see it on TV, you see it in other people.
Yes.
Why do you think the world is so corrupt and broken?
Because the world is out of balance.
Okay.
It's it's out of balance. It's in chaos.
Yeah.
You know, balance is very important. Yin and yang. The world is out of balance because the influence of being out of balance is the trend.
What do you think the fix is to a corrupt, broken world and our own corruption?
Man, you know, when you go through stuff
Yes, sir.
and it's not it's not favorable, you go through some hard times. Like even when I went through my process of losing my wife,
Right.
I talked to just different elders who
Okay.
had advice, and some of the advice that they would give, and I give to other folks too, is you got to take things back to the basics. And the basics, I believe, is an agrarian society utilizing all of the technology advancements that we have that are not toxic to the world.
Like today happened to be the last day you had on earth. I think I asked you this yesterday. What do you think happens to to a person when they die?
I believe you, depending on what you learned, if you didn't learn nothing, it's kind of like if you didn't learn nothing in a certain grade.
Okay.
You want to graduate from 8th grade, but you didn't learn nothing. You come back and repeat 8th grade again.
Okay.
I believe people come back, not in the same form, same body, same name,
Okay.
but you come back as another human being to learn something. Video game concept.
Yeah.
You know, you advance to the next level.
Right.
And that next level is the realization that you are a spiritual being living a human existence. Just a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a human experience, but your spirit is immortal. So you just go to the next level.
Yeah.
And the next level, which I believe brings you closer to the Creator, closer to the Most High.
And once a person get to the highest level they can get to, what do you think that looks like?
Man, that's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know I'm dropping some.
Yeah. I think it just you have to. I believe something. You know what I can say without really. You know, is just really that I think it closer to the Most High.
I got you.
That next level, who knows? That may be actually becoming a planet. You know what I mean?
Becoming a planet?
Becoming a planet or becoming a solar system itself.
Okay.
You know, like our solar systems, and I'm just going to go out with it.
Just go ahead.
This one, solar systems were advanced beings.
Uh-huh.
Like you advance so much, you become a solar system.
Okay.
Or a planet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or stars, because they say we are made of the same stuff as stars.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so they say actually stars and tree and plants.
Yes, sir.
We have the closer genetic ties to.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So, how did you come to your conclusion? How did you come to your belief system about life after death and things of that nature?
It just really from the years of paying attention to different religious. Grew up Christian. Had friends and people that I knew that were Muslims,
Yep.
and you know you get hearing, well, okay, boom, and then I always take the whatever because everybody got something good to throw in that pot.
Right.
And you really, you know, even if you start listening to Buddhists, you start listening to Rastas, you know, different spiritual practices.
Yes, sir.
Everybody got some Hindus. Everybody got something that's like really on point. So taking all those things, but then really allowing my own spiritual system, because I believe that all the answers to the universe and everything is in us.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's, you know, once you tap in,
Okay.
you know, once you know, again, once you know, you're not living this crazy, and you can, you know, hear your own spirit.
Right. But let me get you to consider. Let me give you more of the story, because you seem to have a lot of good pieces. Well, based on the Bible, what's your thoughts about Jesus in general?